About 10 days ago, it would have been near impossible to predict that Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena minister and Thane's strongman, would be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra. It's unlikely Shinde himself would have imagined it at that point. Today, the tables have not just turned, but spun around. Yes, politics is unpredictable, but in the last few hours, the developments in Maharashtra have resembled an M. Night Shyamalan movie plot where you are left gobsmacked at the climax. So how exactly did Mr. Devendra Fadnavis go from probably Chief Minister to giving outside support to Eknath Shinde to Deputy Chief Minister, all in a span of a few hours? What exactly happened behind the scenes? Perhaps we will never fully know, but we can try to understand the reasons why the BJP would give up the top spot when it was so close in grasp and go beyond the headline. Here are some of the factors that come into play. So let's decode that kahani mein twist. Number one, this is possibly the primary reason Uddhav Thackeray, after his resignation yesterday, said he will be reaching out to his people. But what will he say now? After all, a Shiv Sainik is now Chief Minister. Will more and more Sainiks then be drawn to Shinde, who took oath after evoking Balasaheb Thackeray and Anand Dighe? Painting Shinde as a villain who broke up the party has just become tougher for Uddhav. Number two, remember when Uddhav packed his bags and moved from his official residence Varsha to Matoshri, he said a Sainik would return to Varsha. That's exactly what's going to happen. Add to this that the Thackerays have always been the ones holding the remote control and not political office. Uddhav as Chief Minister was actually a departure. So does this new arrangement ultimately allow Uddhav to take on a role in his party that suits him? Will he be forced to consider this option to escape political oblivion? Number three, the biggest puzzle is why the BJP gave up the CM chair. Now, they've pitched it as a virtue, showing they do not want to grab power, but it's also allowing them to say they had nothing really to do with the Shinde rebellion. They're just there to helpfully keep this government going. This version really helps the BJP. Now, it also helps BJP, and look at it this way, we never know what's happening next. 10 days ago, it was the question was whether Shinde really has control over the Sena. If things go south, the BJP has the opportunity to distance themselves from the situation by not taking the top post. And number five, this in a way also helps killing two birds with one stone. The Thackerays become more irrelevant, and sticking on with the NCP and the Congress becomes even tougher for them. It effectively puts an end to the alliance that lasted 2.5 years in Maharashtra. So what next? And what were the reasons behind this googly that we saw in the last few days? We'll come to that just in a bit with all of our guests. But first, let me go across to my colleague Ketan, who's joining us with the latest from Sena Bhavan. Ketan, we heard from Uddhav Thackeray just a short while ago. He finally tweeted, it was his first response. He congratulated the new government and Eknath Shinde. But what next for them? Because at the end of the day, this is also a claim on his party and his political legacy.
See, this decision has come as a complete shocker. Firstly, especially for the Sena, because it is a rebel group. It may have the majority numbers, but it's a rebel group, and it is yet to be decided which is the real Sena. And amidst this, the leader of a rebel group is made Chief Minister. And as we reported, as Mirror now told you in the morning, that the Shiv Sena is all set to go to the court, because in the morning Eknath Shinde called himself as the Sena leader. He called himself as the leader of the legislature party. So all this has not gone well with the Sena clearly. What have they achieved through this? So firstly, by making Eknath Shinde an astute politician, a 24/7 politician, a quintessential Shiv Sainik, the Chief Minister, who's also a Maratha, and the Maratha is a dominant caste in Maharashtra. Almost 35% of Maharashtra is Maratha. So on one hand, it is trying to target the NCP and the Congress electorate. On other hand, the leader of the rebel Sena gang is made the Chief Minister. So this has upset the Thackerays, and more so third, they have literally questioned the legitimacy of the Shiv Sena. So the Shiv Sena has to go to the court to say that, hey, we are the real party. We may have 15 to 16 MLAs supporting us, but we are the original party. The party symbol is registered in our name.
No, but all that is
the
fine,
head of the
Ketan.
party is Uddhav
No, all
Thackeray
that
and
is
not,
fine. But
not-
one minute.
not Eknath Shinde.
Ketan, they may say all of that, but the fact is that the person who is today the Chief Minister of the state and who will have to prove his majority in a couple of days is also someone who has fought and won on the Shiv Sena symbol. He has taken his oath invoking Balasaheb Thackeray and Anand Dighe. So there is a Shiv Sena Chief Minister right now. What's the reaction to that? Are they going to now go hammer and tongs against Shinde, or are they going to be forced to accept this?
So just a while ago, when we were going live at 9 p.m., Arvind Sawant walked off, and I asked him precisely the same question. So he said that this is sort of an illegitimate move. This is an anti-constitutional move by the governor, and the party has already made its intent clear that it is going to court about it, about the whole legitimacy that the governor has given to the rebel group and has allowed the rebel group's chief to become the chief minister hasn't gone well with the Sena at all.
All right, let me play out that conversation that Ketan had a short while ago with Sena leader Arvind Sawant.
Had it been that time, Shinde would have been the chief minister at that time only. What was the issue?
Another shocker is
it is just conspiring against the party, not the only the legislature. They want to demoralize the party.
Arvind sir, another shocker has come is Devendra Fadnavis, who has been the chief minister. At the last moment, his party high command has asked him to be the deputy chief minister, and he's sworn as one. How do you see that development?
Now the people who have left Shiv Sena should learn from it. Learn from this, what it means by the Pakshadesh. What is the party's orders? He has obeyed the party's decision. What our people have done, just think of it and you'll find the difference.
One last question. Eknath Shinde's party status is still not clear, and he's made the chief minister, a leader. What is the next step for Shiv Sena?
You are right. I welcome this question. How come the honorable governor can ask a party which doesn't establish as a party, doesn't know, how come he can call him for the, because when you call a chief minister, that means that party has been invited to make the government. Is it not? So which is that party which has been invited by the government? Defection party. And then secondly, the majority party has not been asked to form the government. Then the third is, there is a disqualification case is pending in the court. Until the honorable governor is invited to take a chief minister.
Who is the party that has been asked to form the government is what this senior Sena leader has just asked. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst with us on the show. I'm speaking with Rohit Chanda, senior journalist, been tracking Maharashtra for several years, and Aarti Sathe, spokesperson of the BJP in Maharashtra, also joining us on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today on Beyond the Headline, where we're trying to understand what really happened in the last 24 hours. Ms. Sathe, let me come to you first. Why has the BJP given up the Chief Minister's position? And then why the change in stance from what Mr. Fadnavis said earlier this evening, where he said, I will not be part of the government? What changed in the last few hours, ma'am?
Okay, so I'll take both your questions one by one. Your first question was, why has the BJP given up CM-ship? And the second question is, how did Mr. Fadnavis really take on as the deputy CM? Insofar as the first question is concerned, I don't think there was any issue of giving up anything. What we really did is that the mandate which was given to us in 2019, which was given to the BJP Shiv Sena, we've really respected that mandate and given that mandate back to the people. Now, the other thing is that we have really supported the entire ideological process. We wanted to support it as an ideological process, and that's why we wanted to give full support to that ideology. Now, how the sharing of who becomes what is something which I think the party higher-ups have decided, and with deliberation, this decision was taken, and that is how the Chief Minister has been, Mr. Eknath Shinde, has been, declared as the Chief Minister. So the question of BJP giving up doesn't arise here at all. I think these are deliberations which have taken place, and people have come to an informed decision. Insofar as Mr. Fadnavis taking on the position of Deputy CM, and I think he made it very clear, and even his recent tweet is very clear. our party follows a rather hierarchical structure, and if there are decisions which come up, or rather certain decisions come, or certain directions come from the higher ups, and which has happened, where Mr. Nadda ji requested him personally, Mr. Amit Shah ji requested him personally to take on this responsibility. I think he is a very prominent leader in Maharashtra politics, one of the tallest and the biggest BJP leader as of now.
Right.
His presence in the ministry will make a huge difference. And I'm sure that's why the party higher-ups thought that him being away would not really be very beneficial. So he was asked to take on this responsibility. And as the person that he is, as a committed party worker that he has been, and a leader to this stature, he has respected that decision of the higher-ups.
No, so
and
just one question, Ms. Thackeray. You said this was an informed decision. What really was the information? Today we're trying to understand the why of it. You said it came from the higher-ups, and this was sort of, there must be some reason behind it. What was the deliberation? What do you know about this? Because why this sudden change? And the reason why I say the BJP gave it up is because you are the single largest party. You have more than the 50 that Mr. Shinde says he has. You still have 106.
I don't think there was any change. There was no decision taken right in the beginning. I think till the Supreme Court decision came through insofar as the floor test was concerned, nobody yesterday was aware of many things. I mean, everything was pretty much up in the air and in the limbo. Everybody was waiting to see what the Supreme Court was deciding insofar as the floor test was concerned. Once the floor test was, approved by, or rather a go-ahead was given by the Supreme Court, Uddhavji Thackeray resigned, and then thereafter, certain decisions may have been taken. So it was not a question of what changed or what did not change. What really happened is, as the sequence of events played out, I'm sure with those deliberations in mind, with the way things went, because it's ultimately everything had to go to courts. There are still certain things pending in court. So I think all those factors have, been taken into consideration. So the question of giving up doesn't arise. And like I said, we have come back with the same mandate which was there in 2019.
So then you should have let Mr. Uddhav Thackeray be the Chief Minister in 2019.
I don't think we don't want to repeat, we don't want to go back to what has happened in the past. We are talking about what's happening today.
Exactly.
Today
but
if
this,
the BJP
one minute. The idea is to understand. The idea is to understand if you're okay today with Eknath Shinde being Chief Minister, Shiv Sena being Chief Minister, and BJP being Deputy Chief Minister, why not in 2019? None of this would have happened.
What happened in 2019 was a different story. I'm only talking about what the people voted for. People voted for a BJP Shiv Sena alliance. And today we are giving back the BJP Shiv Sena alliance. Now, what happened in 2019, whether even a sharing of 2.5 years was decided, I'm not going back to the past at all. I don't want to go back to the past. I'm only telling you we've respected what was given to us by the people of Maharashtra, and we are only looking forward to working for the betterment of people of Maharashtra, and that is why all this is really happening.
I hope that happens. On an aside, here in Mumbai, already the roads are filling up, and we are feeling the fury, where we're wondering that no matter who the people of the state vote for, they have to bear the same brunt. So I hope that really happens. But Tehseen, let me come to you. I think it was very, very important to understand what exactly changed. Now, what's your theory? Because there was no real reason why the BJP, if they have the numbers, Mr. Fadnavis is the one who went to the Raj Bhavan yesterday, spoke to the governor, why he could not have become Chief Minister? Why this last-minute turn of the game?
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Good evening to all my worthy fellow panelists, and good evening to all your viewers. I'm reminded of that famous couplet, तेरी महफिल भी गए, तेरे चाहने वाले भी गए, आकर बैठे भी न थे और निकाले भी गए. And it's happened twice over for Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji. As I extend my congratulations to him and the BJP spokesperson on becoming Deputy Chief Minister. Twice he was this close to becoming Chief Minister and he's lost it. And of course, the BJP, master at spinning as it is, will spin the majburi to be a Chanakya Niti. But as the Shakespearean saying goes, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So now it is a tough journey forward for this alliance. What I want to put ahead legally for you and your viewers to understand is, with regards to the Shiv Sena, and this is something Arvind Sawant was saying, I think legislatively, in the assembly, And this is because Uddhav Thackeray and Sanjay Raut said this earlier on also, that if Eknath Shinde is made Chief Minister, they would extend support. Now there are two groups of Shiv Sena in the House, but the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena faction has not claimed to be a separate group or has not claimed to be a separate party. So they will sit on the same benches. The question therefore will arise whose whip goes. My reading of the situation is the Thackeray group, the Uddhav Thackeray group will vote along with Eknath Shinde, at least legislatively in the assembly there won't be a split. So Shiv Sena as an entire group will go with Devendra Fadnavis. The battle will be fought outside, but legislatively this will be one party and it's going to lead to a lot of complications. That leads to a further question that the kind of governance that we're going to see and the kind of governance we're going to see is definitely not going to be the kind of governance that we saw with the FBA, which was very good, which handled COVID. It's going to be the governance of the music that we don't want to hear, and you know what I'm referring to.
I don't know if there's going to be a difference in governance, frankly. That's why I referred to what is happening in the streets of Mumbai right now. Because that's where you show governance, where buildings don't collapse every monsoon, where, people are safe, commuters are safe. All of that governance seems to be no one's bother or no one's consideration. But you have said something very important, Tehseen, and I want to ask Rohit about this. Rohit, do you think that all of Shiv Sena will vote in one direction in that floor test? Because then, if that happens, is Mr. Uddhav Thackeray effectively ceding control of this party?
Interesting question, and frankly, nobody knows right now whether that will happen. Obviously, the reason BJP has put forward a face from Shiv Sena, Shiv Sainik at heart, is because they are not 100% sure about what will happen in the assembly. They want to garner the best of support that they can get from all sides. That is factor one. But the overall factor two, which is more important, is that they are looking now at the 14 municipal corporations and 25 Jilla Parishads, the district council elections that are going to happen just after monsoon. That will be a litmus test, almost like a mini assembly election in Maharashtra, which will determine the course ahead. In that, I think they want to ensure that Uddhav Thackeray doesn't control Shiv Sena when those elections happen and possibly take over Mumbai Municipal Corporation, which is Shiv Sena's biggest bastion. So to answer your question, one, why Eknath Shinde, is because BJP is looking at a long-term plan like usual. They are not looking at short-term gain. Their thing is that they want to first give that signal to Thackerays that they might not be in control of Shiv Sena for too long. They want to give a signal to the Shiv Sainiks that, a true Shiv Sainik was risen from the grassroots level, was an auto rickshaw driver when I was young, is now in control of Shiv Sena, and that is the real Shiv Sena, which connects with Hindutva, which is the BJP's agenda, basically. So my sense is that, putting this face forward, a non-Brahmin face, which you must understand, Devendra Fadnavis is a Brahmin face. They don't want to put him forward right now. Put forward a non-Brahmin face and go into the municipal elections all across Maharashtra, plus the district council elections, and create a base, a solid base, so that not just next assembly, but even the Lok Sabha elections can be dominated. That seems to be the BJP's plan. Now, part two of your question, why did Devendra Fadnavis accept this, or why was he made the deputy chief minister? Because BJP in Delhi, the high command, with all their experience, they understand that you can't control any government by giving it outside support. That's what experience tells. Today in the evening, just before your show, Sharad Pawar spoke with media. After a long time, he broke his silence. And one important thing he said was Uddhav Thackeray's mistake was that he gave too much freedom to Eknath Shinde while he was unwell or whatever. During the COVID period also, he was not accessible. But Eknath Shinde was given entire control of the party. That was a big mistake, and 39 MLAs walked away. So I think that is the lesson. Everybody knows that you can't depend on one person and make him too big. So the BJP High Command in Delhi decided in the evening or late afternoon that we can't be outside the government. You must have seen this thing that 4:45 in the afternoon, Devendra Fadnavis tells the world media that he's going to give outside support to this government and Eknath Shinde, and he will not be part of this government. 7:45 in the evening, he's seen at Raj Bhavan taking oath as Deputy Chief Minister. That is because the BJP High Command decided that we can't be outside the government and not control this. So obviously, Devendra Fadnavis, being the disciplined soldier of the party that he is, comes from RSS background and all of that, he's followed that order. You could see that he's not too happy about it. Everybody is talking about it. Entire media is talking about it. His body language, his gestures, his face, his voice, everything showed that he was not unhappy with it, but he'll go with it. So the game is to, target number one is to challenge Thackerays and take control of Shiv Sena away from them. Target number two is win the municipal elections, including Mumbai, or try and win at least, and portray that we have a Shiv Sainik leading us. And target number three, obviously, is to, in the long run, prepare for the next assembly and Lok Sabha elections of 2024 by winning Maharashtra as a state which sends 48 members of parliament to the Lok Sabha. That is the story, basically.
So ultimately, they will not need the Shiv Sena. Ms. Sate, your comments on all of the commentary today that Mr. Fadnavis' body language showed he wasn't very happy. This was not what he wanted to do. But as a disciplined soldier, like you yourself said, he's a disciplined member of the party. So he's listened to that command because he needs to be there to ensure that Mr. Shinde stays on course.
I've said earlier also, Mr. Fadnavis is a huge asset to the BJP Maharashtra, and his experience is something which is unparalleled, considering the fact that he was earlier the chief minister and considering the fact that he's one of the tallest leaders right now that the BJP has, and also the fact that he has, been such an asset to the BJP in the Bihar assembly polls and the Goa assembly polls. I think his contribution is, of course, of great value. And
but is he unhappy, ma'am? The question was that is he unhappy that he is now been forced into this situation? Tehseen had a nice shairi to explain it to him, where
it's not
second time round he couldn't be chief minister.
Nobody forces. Once you are a part of an organization and a part of the BJP, and if you're asked to take on certain responsibilities, I think in BJP the culture is such that those responsibilities are taken. And Mr. Fadnavis, being a committed BJP worker coming from an RSS background, like rightly pointed out, he has taken on the responsibility, and he's taken on the responsibility with a lot of understanding. So the question of being happy or unhappy doesn't arise at all here. He is doing what is best for the party and best for the state.
Sure. Tehseen, what happens next to the Thackerays? Because if they, as you've said, vote with, and for Mr. Shinde, the Thackerays cede power bit by bit. Why is anyone going to go to Matoshri after a point? The Thackray positioning was always that they have the remote control and they put a chief minister of their choice in place. This is now the other way around. There is a chief minister by his choice, with the BJP's design, and the Thackerays may be forced to play along. How will they gain back ground now?
So let's look at it the other way around. Who would have thought, even say 2 months ago, that there would be a Shiv Sena chief minister being sworn in and the Thackerays would be disappointed? Or there's a Shiv Sena chief minister being sworn in and the Thackerays are not present there without the permission of the Thackerays. So that is done. That is over and done with. That is dusted. Now the question is, this battle has to carry out on two fronts. One is a legal battle in the courts and on the streets. When I mean streets, I mean politically, not to be misconstrued. And then will be a legislative battle. If the 14, 15, 16 MLAs with the Thackeray group, Sunil Prabhu is the whip who went to Supreme Court. If they go with their whip against the Eknath Shinde group, there's a chance they will be disqualified because Devendra Fadnavis is going to install his speaker out there and the speaker is going to disqualify them. So those MLAs will anyways desert Thackray and not lose their membership. So the Thackray group has no choice but to go with the Eknath Shinde group because they have more MLAs. So legislatively, they'll have to be one group. The battle plays out. Now the problem with the Thackerays is this. The Thackerays are not Bal Thackeray, Raj Thackeray and Indira Gandhi who can go onto the streets of Maharashtra, do a Padyatra and get up that public sentiments. These are not, I mean, as me, I would not have resigned on a Facebook Live if I was Uddhav Thackeray. I would have resigned on the assembly. So there is a problem that they aren't the mass leaders that they used to be, and that is what's hit them. So there is a battle, there is a struggle. They have a few MLCs, they have a few Rajya Sabha MPs with them, but this battle will be fought even further. But I do see that Thackeray is diminishing, and along with the Thackeray diminishing, I see the NCP getting very strong.
Said about that Facebook resignation. Some would say in the age of social media and social distancing, it was a good idea. But then, can Sena then survive? Is Sena eventually going to be cannibalized by the BJP?
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Okay. Rohit, is Sena going to eventually be cannibalized by the BJP? Is this thank you, goodbye for the Thackeray control of the party? A 50-year-old party.
Yeah, so I can tell you, with confidence now we can reveal this, that the first Sansadiya party meeting, a parliamentary board meeting of BJP that happened after Narendra Modi got a strong majority in 2014, May 2014. In June, I think that meeting happened. The message from Narendra Modi, loud and clear message to all the MPs who had got elected that time, and he emerged as the strong prime minister for the first time. Message was, अपने अपने राज्यों में जाइए और 100% भाजपा बनाइए. Go to your states and ensure that our ultimate goal is to have 100% governments with us, not in alliance with anybody. That was his message. So from 2014 onwards, there have been feelers coming to Sharad Pawar, trust me, that, if he's willing to join BJP, not BJP directly, but be part of the NDA, if NCP is part of the NDA and they consider that, then BJP was willing to, throw out Shiv Sena from the NDA. Similar things happened in Punjab with Akali Dal, if you just look at the national perspective. So BJP's agenda obviously is to have 100% BJP at the center as well as in states. I think Uddhav Thackeray got to know about this a bit too late, but finally he got to know about this when in 2017 BMC elections, he realized that the BJP is trying to take his space in his own bastion, which is BMC. All the previous agreements were kind of discarded. BJP's agenda now is to, finish Shiv Sena slowly and take their space, because that is the Hindutva space that both of them share. Now, whether they are successful in doing this in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years is a $1 million question, open question. Nobody has the answer to that right now. But that is clearly their agenda, and in their internal meetings, they discuss it openly. Now, whether Eknath Shinde is able to challenge Thackerays effectively, and whether he's able to run a parallel organization which challenges Thackerays and emerges as winner in the municipal polls, like I mentioned earlier, and other polls, etc., will determine whether Thackerays get weaker and weaker. One thing I can tell you is Uddhav Thackeray, I've known him for many years. He's a person who doesn't get it, doesn't get a kick out of all this. I mean, he's not really, he doesn't have the drive, let's say it that way. Doesn't have the drive to, go and fight, conquer, and all of that. He's more of a, relaxed person.
What about Aditya, Rohit? What about Aditya? Does the job fall to him?
Yeah. So Uddhav is more of a photographer, artist, reader kind of a person. Coming to Aditya, I think has the drive. And Aditya is exhibiting that drive, and a very articulate person, educated and all of that. But whether he'll be able to drive it, he doesn't have the experience right now. They are depending on Sharad Pawar's skills and his advice and everything. And the person who's been driving this government, as everybody knows on this panel also, is Sharad Pawar. I mean, it's NCP that is calling the shots. They are driving the whole thing. In fact, the reason all this drama happened last 1 or 2 weeks is because most of the MLAs of Eknath Shinde group feel that Sharad Pawar's NCP is taking over their constituencies slowly. And they'll not be given a ticket by Uddhav next time if Sharad Pawar makes a demand that, give us these constituencies, whatever it is. So that is the root cause of this. So last point is, how this plays out, how this, whether Shiv Sena, whether Thackerays are able to retain the control, whether Shiv Sena survives, bounces back. All that is going to be, 52 episode or 200 episode web series. I can't second judge it right now. This is not nothing less than a web series, right? I mean,
I'm sure people are patenting names and writing scripts.
And the reason I couldn't join your show yesterday because I was exhausted and I appeared on 20 channels, 50 times in a day.
No,
because
it's okay.
it's becoming like a web series and people are watching news TV instead of Netflix. Can you imagine that?
We are happy if people are watching us. We welcome and we respect that viewership and we want to give you the most for your time, Rohit. Thank you so much for coming in today. I always appreciate it and I love having you on the show because you say it how it is. And, Aarti Sathe, you must respond to this comment, which is actually an open secret, which Rohit has said, that the BJP will ultimately cannibalize the Shiv Sena and drive them to extinction. I mean, if you represent Hindutva and the Shiv Sena represents Hindutva and you're saying the same things, then why should anyone beyond a point vote for the Shiv Sena? That is why Uddhav Thackeray had to, sort of wrench himself away for a last grasp at survival. That chance seems to be gone. Are we going to see that play out now very soon?
I can't really comment on something like that. Like I said, there's no point second guessing. BJP today is with the Shiv Sena. And I'm not going to say anything on, we are ideologically aligned. Hindutva has been the ideology of both the parties. And like I said, ideologically where we are aligned, we are working towards that ideology. Who will annihilate whom and what will happen is not something which we really would like to comment on. Internally what has happened today in Shiv Sena is really up to them, and that is gruntlement, which is all in the public domain. Why people walked out of the Shiv Sena today, or who is the Shiv Sena, that all needs to be really decided. But BJP playing a role to cut to size any party is not something which really we need to discuss. I mean, that's not really what we are in for. And that is not something which we are going to do right now. Today, we are only focusing on the development and bringing back to Maharashtra what Maharashtra voted and what the unnatural, unholy alliances, we wanted to give an end to that.
In politics, I don't know what you can call as unnatural and unholy anymore. Tehseen wants to come in. Yes, Tehseen.
I will call this the ED Sarkar, and before I get any notices or any of the fellow panelists get any notices, I don't mean Enforcement Directorate, I mean the Eknath Devendra Sarkar backed by the ED, for which I make no bones. But here's the part about it. The Honorable Finance Minister of India had a slip of tongue and a Freudian moment when she said she wants to put GST on horse trading. So the BJP, apart from being a master of horse trading or creating ED Sarkars, the more important and pertinent point is everyone in the BJP formed an alliance with regionally, whether it was the Akali Dal in Punjab, the JDU in Bihar, anyone else, or the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. It has cannibalized them. The BJP grows to become a bigger party at the expense of a regional party, unlike the Congress, which the regional parties tend to eat up and the Congress gets smaller. So there is a pattern with which the BJP works across the country, and that pattern is relevant, and we all know about it.
So, Tehseen, the comparison you've made is answering all of the questions. If today you had to devise political strategy, you definitely don't want to take the Congress route, where, you start as the large national party and then become number 3 in a state like Maharashtra. The BJP route seems to make more sense, where you expand, maybe at the cost of your ally. But as of today, as Aarti said,
in the Mahabharata,
yes.
In the Mahabharata, Krishna asks a very important question, and that's the question you're asking me. Is victory only about legality? Is it not about morality? And if being immoral helps them gain victory, as the Kauravas got, as Ravan thought that, listen, I have this illegitimate victory, and he thought he was a legitimate king. I wish them the best, but Ghaman to Ravan ka bhi nahi tika tha.
Tehseen, it's too late in the night for moral science. After 10 days of this political rigmarole, I think we will not be on to ourselves if we say we are now going to talk about moral lessons. But on that note, Tehseen, Rohit, and of course Aarti Sathe, thank you for joining us. I'm going to wrap this leg of the program with a special, story we've put together on Devendra Fadnavis. He is Deputy Chief Minister today, but he is also the man of the moment because after 2019 and the humiliation he suffered then, he has made a comeback one way or the other. Take a look.
From being an 80-year chief minister to a strong opposition leader who played a major role in the current political scenario in the state, it has been one roller coaster of a journey for BJP candidate Devendra Fadnavis. I will come again for the creation of a new Maharashtra, the leader said after the 2019 election turmoil. He patiently waited 31 months for his chance, and here it is now. Fadnavis had become the overnight CM in 2019 elections. During the 2019 elections in Maharashtra, the BJP and Shiv Sena were initially contesting together. Shiv Sena had proposed certain terms and conditions to form the government. They had an agreement to split the chief minister's position between both the parties for 2.5 years each, which the BJP later claimed did not agree to. The BJP then managed to persuade Sharad Pawar's nephew Ajit Pawar to break off from the NCP and join hands with them. The governor ensured Fadnavis took an oath at dawn, and just like that, the BJP had come into power. But their glory lasted only 48 hours. Sharad Pawar managed to convince his nephew again, and they reconciled to join hands with the Shiv Sena and Congress to form the majority coalition. The Maha Vikas Aghadi and Uddhav Thackeray became the chief minister. And just like that, Fadnavis lost the position of power almost as quickly as he got it. After the humiliation, the BJP candidate promised to make a comeback. Fadnavis was very successful as an opposition leader. In the last 2.5 years, he worked tirelessly. He kept an eye on the state politics. He was constantly observing the Thackeray government. He was always in some or the other form of opposition campaign to topple the MVA government. He helped the BJP take the lead in the Goa 2022 elections, and he maintained close contact with the centre throughout. His final move was his alliance with the Sena rebel Eknath Shinde when he realized it would be difficult to break the NCP or to lure a sufficient number of Congress MLAs. Experts say Fadnavis played a crucial role in the political drama that unfolded over the last 10 days. He was apparently looking into the logistics of moving the rebel MLAs to Surat immediately after the MLC elections and then to Guwahati, also ensuring a safe passage of other MLAs who joined the rebel camp.
आज मी आपल्या सगळ्यांच्या समोर मुख्यमंत्री पदाचा देखील त्याग करत आहे.
Now, with the resignation of Uddhav Thackeray, Devendra Fadnavis has passed on the baton to friend and Sena rebel Eknath Shinde as the new Chief Minister of Maharashtra.